All right, so let's get right into it.
Yeah.
Big news broke yesterday. The boxing legend George Foreman passed away at the age of 76.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a tough one. His family announced it on Friday, March 21st, 2025, just yesterday on his official Instagram account.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Social
and
media is probably blowing up.
oh yeah, I mean, and
What a legend.
you read through that family statement, and you just feel that profound sorrow they're dealing with right now.
Yeah, they said their hearts are broken with profound sorrow.
Yeah, and they refer to him as their beloved George Edward Foreman Sr.
Beloved. Yeah.
It's just, it really hits you, you know.
Sure, for sure.
This deep dive, what we want to do today is really get into all different facets of his life because he was so much more than just a boxer.
Right.
You know, we've got some great sources to work with here. We have that family statement. Obviously, we have news reports from places like Live Now, from FFox and People Magazine. And then we got some great expert analysis from ESPN.
Yeah.
So we're going to really try to cover all the bases. And we're talking Olympic gold. We're talking heavyweight championships, a spiritual awakening, a comeback story,
Wow.
and even, kitchen appliances.
He's right. The George Foreman grill.
Exactly.
That's very...
It's going to be a fascinating journey. So let's take a step back
Yeah, let's start at the beginning.
and look at where it all began, right?
Okay.
George Foreman was born in Texas in 1949.
Okay.
His early years were in Houston in the Fifth Ward.
Right.
And for those who don't know, the Fifth Ward was known as the Bloody Fifth.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was known for its challenges, socioeconomic conditions, higher crime rate.
Right.
It was really a tough place to grow up.
Yeah, I can imagine.
He ended up dropping out of high school when he was 15.
Okay.
And by 16, he was already mixed up in some petty crime. But then a major turning point happens at 16. He joins the Job Corps.
Okay.
This feels like a huge moment in his life, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It seems like,
Yeah.
a pivotal moment.
And it's interesting because in the Job Corps, he not only earns his GED,
Right.
but he also picks up carpentry and bricklaying.
Oh, wow.
So it's almost like this vocational training inadvertently gave him some skills and discipline.
Structure.
Yeah, that he took with him into boxing, even though they're completely different fields.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and get this, it was around this time at age 17 that he kind of just stumbles into boxing.
What?
Yeah, you're not going to believe it. His initial goal was to lose weight and be a better street fighter.
Really?
I know, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
And that somehow led to him entering the Golden Gloves.
Oh, wow.
Now, for people who aren't familiar with boxing,
Right.
the Golden Gloves are these huge amateur boxing tournaments.
Okay.
They're like a proving ground for future pros.
Yeah, for sure.
So talk about unexpected turn of events.
Absolutely. Yeah.
From street fighting to the Golden Gloves, and then boom, he's representing the U.S. on the world stage at the 1968 Mexico City Olympics at 19 years old.
19 years old, wins a gold medal.
Yeah. And what struck me is how proud he was of representing his country. There's these stories of him carrying a small American flag around the ring.
Oh, wow.
Just making sure everybody knew where he was from.
Right.
And he even said representing his country meant more to him than the actual victories.
Really?
I mean, can you imagine?
That's pretty amazing.
I know. It's just this deep sense of patriotism and pride, and it really fueled him.
Yeah.
And obviously that Olympic win was a huge springboard.
Right.
In 1969, he turns pro.
Okay.
And right away, he's just dominating.
Yeah, he was unstoppable.
By the end of 1971, he's got a perfect record, 32 wins and no losses.
Wow.
And that puts him as the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship, setting the stage for this massive showdown
Right.
in 1973,
Okay.
the Sunshine Showdown against the reigning champ Joe Frazier.
Joe Frazier.
Now, it's interesting what Foreman said about Frazier.
Yeah, what's that?
He said that Frazier was the one fighter he was actually scared of
Oh, really?
before getting in the ring with him. What do you think it was about Frazier that made him so formidable?
I mean, Frazier was known for his relentless style, his toughness.
Yeah.
He just kept coming at you.
Yeah, never gave up.
Never gave up. And I think that probably intimidated a lot of fighters, even someone as powerful as Foreman.
Right. And Foreman even talked about Frazier's incredible toughness.
Right.
And the pressure he put on you in the ring.
Yeah.
But despite that fear, Foreman went in there and he defeated Frazier.
He did.
In a total knockout,
Yeah.
claiming the World Heavyweight Championship.
Wow.
And he described that moment as the peak of happiness in his boxing career.
Yeah.
It was like a dream come true, and he said he never really felt that same level of pure joy again.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really something.
It is.
He defends his title a couple of times,
Yeah.
And then we get to the fight that really cemented his legacy. The 1974 Rumble in the jungle in Zaire against Muhammad Ali.
That's the one everyone remembers.
Yeah, this fight is considered one of the most iconic sporting events of all time.
Absolutely.
I mean, at the time, it was believed to be the most watched live television broadcast ever.
Wow.
It was huge.
Yeah, I bet.
And it was a huge upset.
Yeah.
Because Ali, who was the underdog going in, actually defeated Foreman by knockout in the 8th round.
Wow.
And, Foreman admitted that this was a devastating loss for him.
Oh, yeah?
He felt like he lost his whole identity that night.
Wow.
It's interesting, though, because he's kind of given different perspectives on that fight over the years.
Really?
Yeah. He even suggested at times that maybe there was something, a little unusual about how it all went down.
Interesting.
But regardless of those later reflections, one thing's for sure is that he and Ali eventually became friends.
Really?
Yeah. Which is remarkable when you think about the intensity of their rivalry.
Yeah, absolutely. It says a lot about both of them.
Yeah, it really does. After that defeat and a few more fights,
Yeah.
Foreman decides to retire from boxing in 1977.
Okay.
And this was after a near-death experience,
Oh, wow.
after his last match.
Okay.
And this event triggered a massive personal transformation.
Right.
He becomes born-again Christian.
Wow.
And not long after, he's ordained as a minister in Texas.
So he goes from the boxing ring to the pulpit?
Yeah, it's a pretty dramatic shift in priority.
Huge change, yeah.
Right, from the physicality of boxing to the spirituality of ministry.
Right.
But then 10 years later, in 1987, at 38 years old,
Okay.
Foreman shocks the world and announces he's coming back to boxing.
He comes back to boxing.
Yeah, he said it was mainly because of financial challenges.
Okay.
But it really marked the beginning of what many consider one of the greatest comebacks in sports history.
38 years old coming back to boxing? That's pretty unbelievable.
I know, it's incredible.
Yeah.
He really defied all expectations.
He did.
In 1991, at age 42,
Okay.
he challenges Evander Holyfield for the world title, and he pushed Holyfield to the limit.
Wow.
It was a brutal fight, a classic.
Yeah.
But in the end, Foreman lost.
Oh.
But even that loss didn't stop him.
Wow.
I mean, talk about resilience.
It's incredible.
I know.
Yeah.
And then in 1994, the unthinkable happens.
Okay.
At 45 years old,
45.
and 299 days to be exact,
Oh.
he faces Michael Moorer for the heavyweight championship.
Okay.
Now, he was behind on the scorecards for most of the fight,
Really?
but then, boom, he lands this stunning two-punch combo,
Wow.
knocks Moorer out,
Wow.
and becomes the oldest man in history to ever regain the heavyweight title.
That's unbelievable.
And the emotion of that moment was
yeah.
just palpable.
It must have been.
The HBO commentator, Jim Lampley,
Right.
he famously shouts, "It
It
happened."
happened.
And Foreman himself has said that this second title win meant even more to him than the first.
Oh, really? Why is that?
I think because of the long journey, the improbability of it all, defying age and expectations.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a testament to the power of perseverance.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But his successes weren't limited to the boxing ring.
Right.
Around the same time as his comeback, in 1994,
Yeah.
he launches the George Foreman Grill.
The George Foreman Grill.
And it becomes this cultural phenomenon,
Yeah.
selling over 100 million units worldwide.
It's everywhere.
I mean, it's amazing how he goes from this legendary boxer
Okay.
to this household name in the culinary world.
Yeah. How did that even happen?
But the story goes that his attorney suggested it.
His attorney.
Yeah, he said, you've got this huge brand, you've got this persona, you should capitalize on it.
Smart.
And it really resonated with
Yeah,
people.
it did.
It was a brilliant business move.
It was.
In 1999, he sells the commercial rights to the grill for $138 million.
Wow.
I mean, talk about a knockout punch in the business world.
Yeah, for sure.
He has his final professional boxing match in 1997
Okay.
against Shannon Briggs.
Mm-hmm.
But even after retiring from boxing, he's still a very public figure.
Yeah. Yeah.
He becomes an HBO boxing analyst for 12 years,
Wow.
sharing his insights and expertise.
That's amazing.
And his contributions to boxing didn't go unnoticed.
Right.
The Ring magazine named him one of the greatest punchers of all time.
Wow.
And they ranked him among the best boxers of the past 80 years.
That's high praise.
Yeah. Top Rank called him one of the biggest punchers and personalities the sport has ever seen.
He was larger than life.
Absolutely. His impact on boxing is undeniable.
For sure.
But he didn't just stick to boxing.
Oh, yeah. What else did he do?
He actually starred in a short-lived sitcom called George.
Really?
Yeah. And later on, he even appeared on The Masked Singer.
Oh, wow.
He also served as an executive producer for his own biopic, Big George Foreman, the miraculous story of the once and future heavyweight champion of the world.
So he was involved in all sorts of things.
Yeah, he really embraced a lot of different experiences in his life.
That's great.
But beyond all the public stuff, his family was clearly incredibly important to him.
Yeah.
In their statement, they describe him as a devout preacher, a devoted husband, a loving father, and a proud grand and great-grandfather.
Wow.
That really speaks to his priorities outside the spotlight.
Yeah, absolutely.
He had a big family, 12 children in total.
12.
And get this, he named all 5 of his sons George Edward Foreman.
All of them.
Yeah. He explained that he did that so they would always have this common bond.
Oh, wow.
And he believed that if one of them succeeded, they all succeeded.
Right.
And if one faced hardship, they would all support each other.
That's a beautiful sentiment.
It is.
Yeah.
And 2 of his grandsons also have the same name.
Really?
So it's really carrying on that tradition.
Yeah.
He was married 5 times throughout his life.
Okay.
But ultimately, his family's statement emphasizes that he passed away peacefully on March 21st, 2025, surrounded by his loved ones.
That's good.
Yeah, they highlighted his unwavering faith,
Right.
his humility and his sense of purpose, and they talked about how he was a humanitarian and always tried to be a force for good.
That's a good man.
Yeah, and the tributes that have poured in from the boxing world really show the impact he had,
Yeah.
both as a fighter and a person.
Right.
Bob Arum of Top Rank said they lost a member of their family
Ow.
and expressed their deep sadness.
Yeah.
Jim Lampley from HBO, who knew Foreman for years, said his passing was a massive loss.
Yeah.
And he felt privileged to have known him, calling him a great fighter and a far, far greater human being.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really touching.
Yeah.
So let's try to bring this extraordinary journey together.
Okay.
We've seen George Foreman go from a tough upbringing to Olympic glory, becoming a 2-time heavyweight champion across different decades,
Right.
experiencing a profound spiritual transformation, retiring from boxing, and then making that unbelievable comeback to reclaim the title.
And then the George Foreman grill.
Yeah, and finding this incredible success in the business world.
It's amazing.
It's a life that spans so many chapters.
It is.
He was an athlete, a minister, a businessman, and a family man. And the love and respect you see in his family statement and in the reactions from the boxing community really speaks volumes about the kind of person he was.
Yeah, for sure.
So here's a final thought for you to consider.
Okay.
How can one person go through so many transformations
Right.
and achieve success in such different fields?
It's incredible.
What can we learn from George Foreman's resilience, from his ability to reinvent himself time and time again,
Right.
and from the lasting legacy he created?
Yeah.
Maybe this deep dive can encourage us to think about the unexpected turns in our own lives.
Yeah.
And the potential for growth that we all have.
Absolutely.
You know, even when things seem impossible,
For sure.
there's always a chance for a comeback.
Always a chance.
Just like George Foreman showed us.
He was a true inspiration.
He was.
Yeah.
All right, that's our show for today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. This was great.
And we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Sounds good.
All right, take